Hey crafty friends, Jen Cassell here. I'm back with another design team project share and a tutorial for Scrapdiva Designs. Here's the website and of course her socials on the back. Make sure to use my coupon code JEN10 for 10% off your purchase at the shop, and I will leave my affiliate link in the description box. I really appreciate all of the love and support. I do get a small kickback, so thank you for helping me to continue creating the things that I love to do. So we're going to be focusing on the Armoire die. If you saw my January release video, you will know that I kind of fell in love with two dies from this set, and I knew I was going to do two tutorials right off the bat. So this Armoire die is one, and then I really loved the market cart. So cute. But this was my original one. This is the Christmas version that I did when I first got the die. It does have a drawer, a pull-out style drawer for the side. These open up, and then of course these are false drawers on the bottom. You could do a lot of reiterations of this project. I did do a faux wood tutorial, which I am going to show you how I did. I loved it. I continued it on for this one, obviously, because I did want to show you how to do the wood. And we're actually, you're probably coming here from mine and Erica's live. I'm going to release this right after the live. So if you missed anything during the live, you're going to have this for reference to check back on. So once again, I did these paneled doors. I am probably going to send this out, so I will wait until I figure out where this is going before I do some sort of message, probably on the interior. Once again, we've got our pull-out drawer. We've got false panels right here. I did the little mini banner that came out this January as well. This bow is from the Heart mini album that came out in the January release. And then you're going to see just a ton of Scrapdiva flowers here. I mainly used the Sakura flower. I did a few of the foam. I did a couple of the large Sakura that comes with the Flower Pot mini album. And then you'll see the leaves bundle. I believe these might be from, maybe they're from the Flower Pot too. I can't remember, because these are automatically, I have a machine that has a storage component to it, so I use a lot of flowers and leaves, obviously. My favorite ones go straight into that storage component. These have been in there for years. I did some fun trim over here. I really like how this turned out. It's a lot of fun. So the drawer itself is going to measure 2 by 7 by, I believe this is 3. I'll go more into it in the tutorial. The box measures a little over 9 inches tall for this portion. With my floral cluster, mine is probably closer to 10, and then it's about 3.5 inches wide. So let's get going with our tutorial. All right, so first I'm going to go over the die. This is your front panel. This is your back panel right here. You have layering pieces, and they are for these in white right here, and then you also have 2 handles. It also comes with decorative pieces for the top, but mine is probably going to be covered by a floral cluster, so I did not cut those out. But I'm going to go through because there are multiple layers to this. I know the layers seem a bit overkill, but trust me, this is a really sturdy box when you're done. So first, I am going to create another of this wood panel here, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So you will need one of this in white. I also cut it out of this plaid. This plaid is going to be peeking through like the floral is on this design. And then I'm also going to need, this is the hearts that are going to be peeking out when you do this right here. And then I also cut it again, and this time I used, it's this one right here, and it's gonna go on the back panel because a little bit of it does show, as you can see at the top and the bottom, and I really just want everything to be uniform. So I actually cut this twice. So you're going to see that here. Now, in order to save time, I did run it through with the other panel. It's absolutely fine. They're the same size, and you're going to be covering most of this up too. So don't forget about that when you're making all of these multiple layers. In addition to the back, I cut it twice again out of this same white cardstock that I used for this front layer. And I just used the full die for this one. And then I've already gone through and I've made my wood panel on this. I am going to show you how I did this. I did it slightly different than this one right here because I am using less warm tones and more of like the pinks and the blues and everything on this one, so it'll be a little cooler. But to do this, you're going to need a wood embossing folder. The one that I used is this one right here, and I'll show you the interior so you can get a little better idea. So this is the Tim Holtz one, and I really like this one because it does have 3 different panels to it, which was nice because I did not want my wood slats to be going vertically. I wanted them to go horizontally. And these panels, because there's just a slight separation, it didn't matter how many times you ran it through with that extra separation between the layers, you couldn't really tell. So for your back panel, you're going to layer this one on the outside. I gave it just a little extra oomph, and I cut this twice. And then you're going to grab one of these and you're going to glue all of these together. For the top, this panel right here, you're going to grab this one and then you'll flip it like this. You'll want this one next, the one that's peeking through this floral layer right here. And then you're going to want this one because it's peeking out this. And then lastly, you'll want this one. And this is the one that I'm going to make the wood panel out of. So I'm just going to set these aside for now, and we're going to work on this wood panel together. All right, so I've grabbed out my Excel blade. I got a ruler here, and then I've brought out a cutting mat. So I am just going to line up my ruler, and using this score line right here on the outer edge, I'm just going to completely cut this out. So I'm just going to line my ruler up and make sure everything is nice and straight. Run that line down. You should have that when you're done. Do the exact same thing with this panel. I'm going to come over here, line everything up. When you're done, you should have something that looks like this. Now I am going to grab my embossing folder, and I am just going to line up the bottom. When I use an embossing folder, I like to spritz it with a little bit of water. I think you get a deeper cut. So I'm going to go in with my mini mister, and once again, just make sure everything is nice and straight in there, and then close it over and run it through your machine. So this is what I cut. And like I said, see how you get kind of that line? That's okay. We're going to be covering that up. So I'm going to come in once again with my embossing folder, and I'm just going to line up right at that edge. I'm going to add just a spritz of water, and I'm going to run it through my machine. Now this is what I have, and I'm going to bring it up close so you can see that. Now you can barely tell. It just looks like another panel in your wood. So last but not least, you're just going to grab the rest of the top. And once again, I'm gonna line it up. Now the whole thing from top to bottom has that wood look to it. Now I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna grab some ink. This time I'm using this Sponge Sugar Distress Oxide, and I like to just lay it flat and rub that pad right across the top, just so it catches all of that embossing that we just did. All of those raised panels, you're really gonna see them a little bit more. See right here where that knot in the wood is? I'm gonna really catch that. I'm gonna go a little deeper on the color. Then I'm gonna just simply taking my ink pad and go around all of the sides. And that'll just kind of help bring it out a little bit. So this is what we have. Super pretty, right? It gives it like this great shabby chic finish. Now I'm going to grab the panels that I want showing, and I'm going to attach this wood piece, faux wood piece, I should say, right to this plaid. And I'm just going to use a little bit of my Barely Art glue for that. All right, so I have these glued together. I have my cupboard doors that open. All I did was make sure to press that down on the sides, and then just to give this a little extra weight, I am going to start working on these door panels. So I'm going to do a red trim with these cupboard doors. So I've cut 4 total. I have 2 for the exterior and I have 2 for the interior. Now I've also cut that same die again with this blue and white polka dot here. Now, don't throw away the trim pieces from this, even though we're just going to be using the blue of the polka dot. I actually doubled up my front panels for the door, just to give it a little added dimension. So I'm going to pop these on with a little bit of Barely Art. All right, now that I have my panels on, I'm going to flip it right around, and I am going to grab my interior panels, and I'm going to line those right up. I'm going to insert this blue. So I have my interior together, I have my exterior panels together. Now I am going to grab the heart layer that I want showing when I open my panels. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this back. Now, when you open it, all you see is this pink. I am going to go through and really kind of press those edges down a bit. There we go. Okay, and then one more layer I want to add. I'm going to add this one to the back, and that's going to go just like that, just so you can see the hint of this at the bottom, because these are going to make your box. Okay, now that I have these together, I'm going to add my drawers. So I did cut this out of the red trim as well. Okay, so let's work on our drawers, and I am going to use this blue. I kind of like this blue for my middle drawer. All I'm going to do is grab my Barely Art. Okay, so I have this adhered down. I'm going to get my scissors out, and now I'm just going to cut right along that edge. Okay, this is what I have for my first drawer panel, and you should be able to faintly see the lines on here. I'm just going to line that up to adhere it, but first, I did not toss the centers of my drawer trim, so I'm actually going to use this on the back just to add a little bit of dimension to it. I'm just going to pop that right on. And I'm just going to line that up. And I'm going to repeat the exact same process for my second drawer. Okay, so I have my 2 drawers in place. I did also cut the handles out a couple of times, which I planned on gluing a few of these together to create a little layer. I did not do that on this one, and I think it just needs a little more. So I'm going to do that, as well as glue together my back panel. So for the sandwich, for this one, you're going to want to start with this, add an extra layer of white, And then this is going to get flipped onto the reverse so that you have this on the outside and this on the outside. I'll be right back. All right, so I've put my handles on, and all I did was attach a little bit of hot glue right at these little dots here. And then I just kind of use my tweezers to lift it back like that, just to add that little touch of dimension to it. And then I've also glued together all of my layers here. So I have my 2 white panels, one of them are embossed, and then I have this pink pattern paper on the back. You're gonna wanna set these aside. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the drawer component. Okay, so you're gonna need 2 sheets of paper. So this first one here is gonna measure 11 3/8 by 10 1/8. And this is my prototype here, so I'm just gonna show you, okay? And then I'm gonna walk you through the scoring on this. So we're gonna start on the 11 3/8 of an inch side. And you are going to line that up, and you're gonna score at 2 1/8. You're gonna flip that over, do a half turn, and once again at 2 1/8, okay? Now we're gonna flip it so that we're on the shorter side, and you are going to do a 1/2 inch. So score at 1/2 inch, and then we're also going to score at 4 inches. We're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. So a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna do a 1/2 inch, and then we're gonna do 4 inches again. Let's set this aside, and we're gonna work on our next one. Second panel measures 12 by 8 3/8. And once again, I do have my prototype here. Pay no attention to this down here. This one, you're gonna score at a 1/2 inch and 2 1/2 inches. And you're going to just rotate a 1/4 turn and do that on all 4 sides. So we're gonna do a 1/2 inch, and then 2 1/2, 1/4 turn, 1/2 inch, two and a half, and final side, 1/2 inch. Move that up a little bit, and then 2 1/2. We're done with our scoring board for now. Let's work on, this is going to be the drawer portion. So grab some scissors starting at this portion here. I'm going to meet at that cross, and then I'm going to cut this whole thing off. I'm going to grab a longer pair of scissors here, and I'm just going to add just a little bit right there. And then once again, I'm going straight up to that second score line, and I'm going to cut a pie slice essentially. And now this one, I'm going to follow the score line all the way up, okay? Now, once again, I'm just gonna come in at about a 45-degree angle. And same thing, right at this second score line, go up at a 45. Now I'm going to cut right along that score line. And this one, you could even cut the tab off right here if you wanted to. We don't need it. And I'm just going to bring my scissors up to that second line, and then 45-degree angle there. And I'll cut this tab off while I'm at it, okay? Now, 45. And wedge slice. Okay, once again, we're going to follow the score line here. Okay, I'm just going to add a little wedge right there and another one to create my tab. And now I'm just going to follow that score line all the way up. Okay, let's take a little bit of a wedge off here and then one more. And I'm just going to once again cut this whole tab off. Okay, so now we have and I'm going to go through and just add a couple wedges in here. These are just tabs. It's a little easier when you have that wedge cut out so that you don't have anything overlapping. This is what you should have at this point. I'm going to go in with my bone folder and I'm just going to score on all of these score lines. I want a really deep impression and I'm just folding inward. Okay, now that I have all of my tabs folded inward, I'm going to start creating my box. So I want to put a little bit of my pattern paper on. I wanted to at least do my interior center first. All right, from there, I'm going to grab my Barely Art glue and I want to get really close to this edge. You don't want this lifting up. You're going to have pattern paper holding it down, but you still want to make sure that you have a really nice tight bond with this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for this one right here. Now I'm going to grab my Barely Art. Now to get my 90-degree angle, I'm just going to use my work surface. I'm going to do the exact same thing with this one right here. I'm going to add glue to this tab. Now for this panel, okay, and once you have glue on that, I am just going to line it up just like that, flip it on its side, and really press down. Now I'm going to add my glue, flip it down. Now, before I go any further, you want to figure out which one you want as the front of your box. I am going to add my pattern paper panel right here. Get these pattern paper panels. All I did was measure my box and take 1/8 of an inch off. That way you have a nice line that goes around it. I like to leave a border myself. For the rest of it, I am going to add everything but this one right here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so at this point, I have just about all of my box completed. I still haven't added my pattern paper in here. The reason why is, and I have not added any additional paper to this. You could if you wanted to, but I figured you're not really seeing it, and I want to see exactly how much room I have on the sides when I make the box surround. So let's just start with this handle here. So the reason that I am waiting to put this on the interior is so that I can cover up the brads that I'm using. So find out where you want your handle. Now, this handle, I believe I got from the findings aisle at Hobby Lobby. But you could do paper, you could do a bead if you wanted. I'm gonna grab my handle. Now that I have these brads attached, I can go in with my last bit of drawer liner. Okay, so we have our drawer. I'm gonna set this aside. Now let's work on our surround. Now for our surround. So I'm gonna go in right here and I'm going to clip at about a 45-degree angle, and I'm gonna follow that score line right up the side. I am going to cut right up this score line as well, just to this. Do the exact same thing here. Following the score lines, you're gonna just take this off. There we go. So this whole side is done. You're going to do the exact same thing to this side. So once again, I'm just going to flip. I'm going to follow that score line. Okay, so all I did once again is fold my score lines inward on all directions. I am going to grab my barely art right here. Now you want this tight. You do not want this flipping up on you. So I am going to make sure that I get really close to that edge. Now that I have these adhered down, I did wedge out these tabs right here. You are going to want to sandwich these in between these two layers. So I'm going to bring one side up and then I'm going to bring this one like this. That way you can't see that tab, okay? I am actually going to flip it over first and I'm going to quick apply my pattern paper before finishing up this portion. So I have my pattern paper pieces on there. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of my barely art and I'm just going to glue this. While I've got it out, I'm going to glue this one too. Now I'm just going to fold this inward. Fold this inward. Okay, once we have that on, I'm going to add a little bit more glue. Do the exact same thing over here. So I went fairly heavy on my glue and I'm just going to pull these inward. And if this seems a little flimsy, don't worry. That's why we made these panels nice and thick. So we've got this right here, moment of truth, fits perfectly. I'm going to leave that in there while I'm putting this together just to give it a little added weight. So I'm going to come over here to this panel. I'm going to use quite a bit of glue. I'm going to go a little heavy. Once I have that glued on, I'm taking that drawer out and I'm going to use my bone folder to really press that on there. Perfect. Love it. Okay, once again, let's go in with our barely art glue. And then we're just going to press our panel on. I really liked using barely art for this because you want to give yourself a little bit of leeway. I'm going to flip this over, make sure that everything is at the right height. Okay, we've got ourselves our armoire. Really cute. As you can see, it does stand really easily. Got our pull-out drawer that works nicely. Now I am just going to decorate it and I'll be right back. So cute, right? Oh my gosh. So I did this flower bow from the Heart Mini album. I also did quite a few flowers that are all Scrapdiva as well. I added this really cool trim from my stash. Just love it. Love it. We did the little mini banner right here, little floral cluster. I love how this turned out. The pinks, the blues, the reds, the whites. It's so fun and festive for Valentine's Day. So once again, don't forget to use my coupon code JEN10 for 10% off your purchase at the shop if you decide to pick up this die. And once again, here is the site. I will link everything in the description box, her socials. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the love and support. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more crafty content. I'll see you in the next crafty video. Bye.